Hello, hello. Long time no live stream. So I am here in Vietnam. I'm not sure how the internet is going to work and function through this. I'm not sure if anybody's going to even show up. Time scheduling is really off here. I'm about a 12-hour difference or 11-hour difference from New York Standard Time. 13, 11, I don't know. It's somewhere around there. So I'm not sure who is all going to be joining the live stream. I'm not sure if anybody still watches my channel. No, I'm sure a few people still watch my channel from the videos that I make. That being said, I was doing live streams every week, and since I've been in Asia a few months, that has not happened. But I'm hoping that the internet is good. I hope that the live setup works out well for everybody and we enjoy our time. We're going to be going over the Nikon Z8 release, and basically it was everything that I thought it would be and everything that I could have hoped for it to be. That being said, I'm going to go over some of the things that I wish that they would have improved on over the year and a half that we had between the wait of the Z9 and the Z8. Still, if you're a Nikon shooter, I think you have an amazing camera on your hands. We're also going to talk a little bit about Sony and their new flagship phone, or I'll call it a flagship phone. It has the new dual stack sensor that allows for better dynamic range as well as better low light. So that is a very interesting phone. It looks pretty great from the reviews. I'm not sure if any of the reviews were actually legitimate though. I think they were all pretty much paid reviews, or at least they seemed like it. But it looks like people are getting some good stuff out of that. We'll also talk about some of the firmware announcements, or rather lack of announcements for Sony. We'll go over the Panasonic S5 2X, which is essentially like a reworking of the S5 II, but it's more video centric and it looks pretty great. And we'll go into some of the details there. We'll just talk about cameras in general, and we'll enjoy ourselves, hopefully. If you're here, make sure to give that hit that thumbs up for the algorithm, get this out to more people. Comment, join the chat, and we'll have a good time here. I feel like I should have been on the main screen. That was the goal, is to be on the main screen here right now. But I don't want to completely go into the main topics just yet because I would like to see maybe a few more people start to flood in here. But it's okay if they don't. We will just go for it and we'll see what happens. There is one person live here, it looks like right now. And if that's you, thank you for being here. I guess that would be only you. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button. We'll get that out to more people. Like I said, it's been a long time since I live streamed. I don't even, oh, sorry. Forgive the mess too. We have one room that's like really ours here in Vietnam. So forgive any kind of mess or the toys in the background. I have a 2-year-old, so it's just going to happen. So I couldn't clean everything up, but I hope everything looks fairly decent. Let me know how the audio is, if it needs to be bumped up, if I'm too loud. I did check it with the headphones here before I went live. But yeah, we'll go over that, and yeah, drop in the comments, join the conversation, hit that like button, get this out to more people, and we'll start going over some of the stories. The way this generally works is I'll check in on the live stream or the comments every so often. We'll go over a topic, and sometimes I'll kind of reframe the topic because I would like to clip this thing out and get more videos out of it. So let's go ahead and quickly, before I go into any main topics, I'll share the screen here and we will go over just some of the latest news here. I'm going to refresh. Sometimes we get lucky and we get a breaking story. Okay, so from Sony Alpha Rumors, this is where we're at right now. Nothing big yet. Let's see. So I thought this was interesting. Amazon is selling DP Review. I didn't really go into this, but it looks like DP Review has been releasing stuff. I wonder who is going to buy it. Is it Tony Northrup? He talked about it. I mean, to me, it would make a lot of sense for Amazon to sell it. Tony Northrup, he loves Squarespace, so he could just make another Squarespace website for it. Oh man, that's mean. But yeah, I don't know if it'd be him. It's probably like a conglomerate. But I do think that there's a wealth of information on DP Review, and I hope that it isn't completely shut down. So it looks like there is a glimmer of hope. I think it will be a little interesting if the YouTube channel keeps going and you had, I'm blanking on the name. I know it's Chris and somebody else. Anyways, they went over to Petapixel. So it will be interesting to see if they wind up getting somebody new or if it's just going to be the website. I think it's just going to be the website. If that's the case, yeah. We got a hot deal, $700 off the SanDisk at 4 terabyte Extreme. It's never really $1,000 from what I've seen. I think I did pay close to $400 for it though, back around like Black Friday. So yeah, that is a great option for people. It's the V2. It's super fast. And yeah, I pretty much do all my editing off of a SanDisk Extreme Pro. So I use the 2 terabyte and I have a 4 terabyte that I'm just starting to dive into. That's a good thing. This is kind of pre-show stuff. I don't want everybody to think, oh, he's just going to go over, reading this. But this is for us to essentially build up the comments, build up the live stream. Hopefully a lot of people will join in. Hit that like button. It gets it out to more people. And that way we will be able to have a better conversation, engage more. Just let me know. All right. Okay, so this is interesting. This is actually a main topic. One of the main topics I would like to go over. But yeah, let me jump over here to the comments first, and then we will go over this first main topic here. All right. Paris in the Philippines. Good to see you, man. I thought you were going to drop off because I acted like I would get a Panasonic camera. I'm not going to because I have all I need inside me. He said, fuck me. I gotta be careful. Monetization. Feck me skinny. You've lost weight. Yeah, Vietnam food will do that to me. And I'm only on like a 24 millimeter, so there is some focal length happening here. But yeah, I've lost quite a bit of weight, and it's weird because I get to pretty much enjoy everything I'm eating. I eat a lot of food, but I don't know if it's just the non-processing or if it's more grass-fed beef that I'm eating. But yeah, it seems like I'm almost eat whatever I want to a degree, and I will lose weight or at least maintain weight. So that is a big pro of being here. And thanks for noticing. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel more confident. Haven't done a live stream in forever, so like now my confidence level is boosted. Appreciate you. Mora, the young camera guy, Nikon Z8. Should I upgrade from the Z6 Mark II? Yes. Sorry. Or wait for the Z7 III or the Z6 III. Yeah, no. I think the Z8 is going to be about the best that Nikon does for the foreseeable future. So if it's a camera that if you're looking for, I mean, obviously it's going to be more expensive. The Z6 Mark II will be somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500. I'm sure. I'm not even 100% sure they're going to be, Mark III. I'm not sure if the Z7 Mark III is even going to happen. And if it does happen, I don't foresee it happening anytime soon. I think the Z8 is kind of what you got, and it's expensive, but it's an amazing camera for a Nikon shooter. So it really depends on what you want to get out of it. I wish it had a flip screen. It would have personally, been more beneficial for some like me, but I'm not going to go Nikon either way, even though I think it's a great camera. All right. Pairs in the Philippines offering Atmos Ninjas at 180% up price. Is it up price? So it went up? Up rice is what you said, but I'm thinking you meant up price. So they do, is it like a discount I'm trying to see what that actually means, because I don't think, surely they didn't raise the price. That would be ridiculous. So just posted on my 5,000 people Facebook. Do me proud. Okay, well, I appreciate it, Paris. I will do Paris in the Philippines. I will do my best. I went and saw one of your YouTube videos as well, and you get way more political than I do, but I enjoyed your take, and I love your accent. Just FYI. Um, so, so yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you spreading the love around, and I hope that everybody enjoys the show. Let me quickly go over to this first main topic. Let more comments build up. Hit that like button if you're here and you're watching. It helps out the algorithm. It gets this out to more people. Let's go over this first story. So this is coming to us via Sony Alpha Rumors. It's kind of the ongoing saga or chronicle of the firmware situation with the Sony Alpha cameras, or rather the lack of firmware additions to the Sony Alpha cameras, like the Sony A7S III, which I own, or the Sony A1, which if somebody else owns that, it's like supposed to be the king of all kings. And there's been no real meaningful firmware updates since I think the launch. So yeah, this is a story coming from them, and a little bit of an update. There might be a glimmer of hope, but I wouldn't hold our breath here. So let me share the screen. The firmware saga, some unexpected Sony moves. Digital Digest takes Sony side. Yeah, so this part is ridiculous. Digital Digest, the video below, is sort of defending Sony's firmware policy. Sony has not promised to add features on the Sony A1 or any other camera. So we should stop asking for things Sony didn't say they would deliver. Sony didn't say they would deliver. He says it's perfectly normal in the digital industry to not add new features via software. You have to buy new gear if you want new features. So has this guy ever, like, when in the digital industry is it not a fairly common practice for software innovations? Of course, maybe it's more debugging, but I mean, if you go to like a video game, just for a quick example, video games, a lot of times, a lot of them are shipped half-baked. But that being said, a lot of times they're offering new improved features, higher frame rates via updates. Cars, they're getting updates constantly with a lot of the battery-powered cars like Tesla. You're getting a lot, basically every other camera manufacturer at this point is giving you substantial upgrades in firmware. So you have Canon giving big firmware with the R5. You have Nikon that has given some pretty big updates to the Nikon Z9. You have Fujifilm that's constantly doing that. Panasonic seems to be going that route. So your entire premise is ridiculous for the first part. The digital industry is full of firmware updates. So yeah, that is factually incorrect. Not saying every company does it. Not even saying it's 100% the norm, but there's enough companies that do that to act like it's a normal thing for it not to happen, and it's ridiculous, especially when you have the other big camera players making it happen. Also, it would be different if these new features didn't get added very shortly after to a cheaper camera. And it would be different if these features weren't something that would be easily added to a Sony A1 or A7S III. And it would also be different if Sony wasn't giving firmware updates to other cameras that are vastly improving cameras that are like in the cinema line, like the FX3 or the FX6. They've gotten some big updates in the past. And the ZV, whatever cameras, I'm sure they'll get some great updates because they actually care about their customers in that department. So this is a stupid thing. Obviously, Sony didn't, say that we're going to update these things. But I think when the A7 IV came out shortly after the A1, and it added, focus breathing compensation and all these different focus mapping, all the different jazz that basically happened, and added bells and whistles, things that could easily be brought over to the A1. That is a flagship camera that people paid a ridiculous amount for, $6,500. I think that this is a stupid take, and I don't know who gave and wrote this, and I'm not saying you're an idiot, but this is an idiotic take in my opinion. But that's your opinion, and you can have a dumb one. Anyways, the other part of this is something that he talks about, which I think was fairly interesting. Supposedly they're doing, oh man, see, this autofocus is losing my eye. This is not an eye. That's my eye. Anyways, fix it, Sony. I'm on the latest A7S firmware, by the way. Anyways, they did also say that Sony was doing, or they'd heard about some surveys that were going out. And of course, this is always rumors, but this is his source, and he's the Sony guy, so that's what we have. But he's heard about some, I guess, additional surveys that have been going out to the influencer community, and I think that is fairly interesting. Supposedly, it's a little different. Usually, when they are asking for input, it's when they release a new camera or there's a Sony boot camp or something like that. But for them to kind of interject fairly quickly and, you know, be sending this out, it maybe is opening the door, or cracking it at least, that maybe people in the community, not necessarily myself because I have a very small footprint, but others, and just maybe us as a collective that's been complaining about the lack of firmware for the A1 and A7S III, and just the offhand comments, maybe it's finally getting to Sony. Maybe they're going to finally do something about it. I hope that they do something about it before people start complaining with their wallets, because I can see that happening. But drop in the comment section below and let me know, do you happen to agree with this guy's take? I mean, if you do, you do. I personally do not think it is a good take, and I don't think it's a good business practice to completely give up on your, basically your alpha camera line and not really update it, and really make people feel like you don't really care about that industry quite as much. Drop in the comment section below and let me know. All right, let's go back to the chats. Hopefully they've been building up. If you're here, hit that like button. It gets this out to more people. All right. Make yourself bigger on screen. You need the Atmos to get 10-bit. You're talking about for what? What do I need the Atmos to get 10-bit out of? For the Nikon camera? I'm kind of confused. I don't need Atmos to get 10-bit. I could get 16-bit. I think it's 16-bit RAW that I can get out of it. This A7S III. But everything on this camera is 10-bit. Make yourself bigger on the screen. Do you want me bigger in which screen, rather? Is it the share screen that you think I'm not big enough? Because that's a possibility, but I want it to be more about the actual story here. The main screen, I'm fairly much taking up the entire screen, I believe. So, yeah. Let me see if I can fix this. Maybe you think on the share screen I should be a little bit bigger, and I can do it. I can make this happen. We have the technology. I think. I don't want to mess things up, but there we go. Uh-oh. See, that's the only thing, is I don't want to block the comments. Sorry. I mean, I know this is like super riveting content, but I am fulfilling a request from a viewer here. And since there's not many viewers here, I want to please the ones that are here. So anyways, I hope that's a little bit better. That's me bigger on this section. This is the main. I think it looks legit, or fine. I could forget the border, but I don't know. I don't think it looks bad. And then this is comments. Hopefully I'm big enough on this screen. And here I am. I could be bigger on this screen. Maybe it's a good idea. Let's try that out. Is this better? I don't know. I think I kind of like this, the square. Oh, maybe do this. This is a good little. I just want to make sure I don't start cutting off the substance of what I'm trying to cover. Okay. Before I go over to the main topic again, let's jump back in the comments. Is this helping? Bring in the comments. Can you not see the comments right now? You should be able to. My screen is showing the comments. So is this showing the comments on, yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're saying bring in the comments, make the comment section slightly smaller. Yeah, I can do that. I think so. Making it about everybody else. All right. I think this is a little better. Maybe this is something. Let me know if this is better, guys. I appreciate you. This is live feedback. I appreciate everything. The main screen, I think I'm pretty big on it, or big enough. Here we go. There we go. I'm bigger now, I think. Anyways, but here we are. This is the updated format. I hope that it looks decent, and I just don't want to keep playing around with while we're live, but I hope this helps some. I appreciate the feedback. I'm always trying to learn here. This is the first time that I have this set up. Is this focus hunting? Because it keeps kind of coming up to the microphone here in my camera. I'm seeing the little eye thing go to the microphone. I'm curious on if it's actually mattering or if I'm within the focal length anyways. That's 2.8. That being said, I'm fairly close to the microphone, so it may not lose focus even if it brings it over to this. But let me know if that's happening. Yeah, so if you're here and you're able, drop in the comments. We'll talk. Ask me any questions that you like. I actually have kind of want to go over a couple questions with everybody, so I'm hoping more people show up so we can have like a back and forth conversation, because I have some questions about video editing, and I'm not sure who's big on videos here. I think most of you are more photography based. But I have, maybe a question about switching NLEs. You're probably guessing like there's like a million videos like I switched, and I'm not saying I'll 100% switch, but I've been cheating on Final Cut with some DaVinci, and some things I like, some things I don't. But I'm not sure if it's worth the switch. I'm not sure it's cliche, but I am getting FOMO, and and that is a thing. You can't see. I can't see you. What on earth? You can't see me right now? Okay. What is going on? Forget the comment, skinny. Yeah, but I want people to be able to read what everybody's saying. Main screen and bring comments in. So I want people to be able to read, so I'm just not talking to myself. I'm too skinny for you now. Just kidding. All right, let's see. Hit the likes, gang. I appreciate that. That's some good feedback right there. That's the enthusiasm I want. Just appreciate it. I appreciate all of it, because I'm trying to figure this. I haven't live streamed in a long time. So it's been months. I haven't have a setup here. So is this better? This has to be kind of better, right? But I want people to still be able to read each other's comments, but maybe you can do that in the actual comment section anyways. But I want it to be part of the live stream. Wow, we do have quite a few people watching. I appreciate it. Maybe the Facebook group is joining. I appreciate that. Hit that like button if you're here. Drop in the comments. We'll have I will mess around with it more. I can try to deal with it a little bit more. Like you're saying, go side by side. I'll try to mess around with it more when I'm not live, because I don't want to bog down 100% of the live stream with other people watching as well. So yeah, I hope this works out. I hope everybody's seeing each other in the comment section. Drop in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll go over to the next main story, whatever that should be. No, we'll go ahead and we'll catch back up. I won't jump to a main story just yet, but I will go over here and start refreshing some things here. I'm not. Sometimes we get lucky and we get a big main story, while we're here. I don't think any of this is very interesting. I don't really care about the PowerShot V10. If you want to talk about it, we can. This is kind of interesting. It's a CR1. I don't even believe it though. R2 camera is going to replace the Canon EOS R5. There has been some precedent for that in the past, but DSLRs. But I don't suspect that they would. I think it would be silly with the current marketplace, personally. Could be wrong. Canon's done some silly things in the past. I mean, technically, there's already two R5s. You had the R5C and the R5. So maybe you have but I don't even know if they'll do R5C Mark II. I don't know how it's sold. They haven't really given too much support to that long term. There's supposed to be a firmware coming though fairly shortly, so hopefully that will remedy some major issues that camera does have. I don't believe this, so I'm not going to go over it any more than I just did. This is ultra wide, cool. I mean, I think they obviously need APS-C lenses. Let's go over here. In a few minutes, I'm going to go over the Nikon Z9 or Z8. Sorry, Z9 Lite. This is giving us a size comparison. So you know, it's still a chunky boy. Especially you put that battery grip on it, it's bigger. But I mean, I'm not going to use a battery grip. So, or at least I like the option of not having the battery grip and it being smaller than this chunkster over here. I do wish, and we'll go over that here in a minute when it's a main topic. So we'll go over that in a minute. All right. I do want to go over this Panasonic release as well, but I think we could just go ahead and go to the Nikon Z8 and talk about that. I'll give my thoughts on it. But let me go back to the main screen now. Check in on the comments really quick. On the nuts, me, myself, and I. Damn, did you see what the vlogger's camera this week? Are you talking about that PowerShot camera? I don't really think it's any good. Okay, speaking of vlogger's camera, I'm not sure if this will be a main topic, but the vlogger camera that I'm most interested in is that Sony Xperia Mark V, I think it is, or Xperia 1 Mark V. I don't know. It's a lot of names. But I think it's a very interesting phone camera. I can see it being a great B cam. I mean, honestly, a great A cam for a lot of people. And I personally like the idea of having a camera that complements like my Sony A7S III that's on a phone. Kind of keep my looks consistent. Right now I have an iPhone 13 Pro, whatever, Max maybe. It does good for what it does. I can throw some extra shots in there if I need for like my travel videos and stuff like that. But I've been thinking a lot that, man, I hate carrying around all this gear. So I could see myself if, like, say for example, I'm out and about at a location. If I know I'm going to somewhere like a big tourist attraction, a big vista or something that I really want to capture with my higher quality cameras, then I can take that out there. But if I'm going to like a restaurant and, you know, or just going to walk the beach or something really kind of, you know, even going through town or doing some of the middle shots, I would feel a lot more confident just being able to say, oh, I'm going to leave my camera bag at home. I'll take my phone. I'll get some shorts and I'll, you know, also just use it for some B-roll shots. And I think from what I saw of that Sony camera, that could really be like a good B cam. I do wish that they had S-Log3. I think they had S-Log3 in the 1-inch version thing that they had, which was like a $2,000 camera. So I'm wondering if they will do another version of that and put that stacked type sensor in it. I think if they did that, then you might have like a 1-inch-ish sensor that's that stacked. I mean, this one's already doing really well with the way it's that new stacked version that does the dynamic range and the extra stuff. So anyways, I think that is a cool vlogger camera, but the PowerShot BS I didn't really care about. All right, sorry for the rant. Let's get back to it. All right. Here we are. So the Nikon Z8 is finally here. It is pretty much everything that we hoped it would be. And let's see, we're going to go over all the specs. And I mean, spoiler alert, it's fairly close to what the Z9 specs are, but we'll talk about some of the differences. I'll talk about some of the things that I do wish that they would have improved upon, and kind of talk about why this was my most anticipated camera, or at least the camera that I thought was the most anticipated camera of the year. But honestly, when it dropped, I wasn't as enthusiastic as I would like to be, even though I think it is a great camera. Let's go over, let me share the screen here. I'm going to go over some of the highland figure, or the broad figures of the specs here. So this is on B&H. We're talking right here. This is interesting. So the Nikon Z8 was made for creatives. We're going to talk about all that, but why is this? All right, one screen is doing something, the other screen's not. We got some lag here. Sorry about that. So yeah, this is the Z8. I think here's some of the high, just the broad overview features. 45.7 megapixel full frame stacked sensor. A lot of people argued, or at least did not believe, that the stacked sensor was going to be a thing, or they were going to be bringing the exact same sensor from the Z9. They did. And it is the cheapest stacked sensor camera around, and is also the most up-to-date and feature-rich stacked camera around. So I think this is a huge win so far. We also have the Exceed image processor, so it's the same thing that was in the Z9, smaller and lighter than both the Z9 and D850 cameras. So that's a good thing to hear. I mean, it's nothing great there. Intelligent tracking and autofocusing. Okay, this is one of the down things that I don't like. So the Nikon Z9 is a vast improvement of autofocus over the Z6 Mark II and the Z7 Mark II. It's, I think, the first Nikon camera that is on par, closer to par with Canon and Sony. I don't think it's all the way there. And I had hoped that Nikon would have continued to improve upon the autofocus over the last year and a half. I do think that the processor is good enough. I think Jared Poland said something about, well, you can't change the hardware with what's in there, so if you're getting what you get out of it. I can kind of see the point of him saying maybe the processing power isn't quite there to actually change the autofocus that much. Looks like the sensor is fast enough, I would assume, with being a stacked sensor. If you're able to do the incredible video rates and just the fast raw shooting that you can get out of this thing, I think the processing power has to be there. I think it is just tweaking the algorithm slightly. Whether or not it can be thrown up to par with the best of Canon and the best of Sony, I don't know. But I think it can take another step in the right direction. I had hoped that, and I even said that in my Z8 video when all the speculation was going on, that I hoped that the Nikon Z8 would ship with a little bit better of a hardware or autofocus than what we had gotten the Z9. Because I do think the Z9 was almost there, and it's good enough for 90% of the people. But if you're going to have a flagship and a top-of-the-line camera, I want a top-of-the-line autofocus for people. So I had hoped they would have an additional firmware for the Z9 and launch the Z8 with better autofocus. But it looks like the year and a half, they didn't do much of anything to improve too much upon that. And I believe that they can. I kind of believe that they will. So keep talking. Let Nikon know that you still want better autofocus, even though they're on the right track and they're doing good. But let them know that more can be done and you want it. So maybe let people know that at Nikon, because obviously they're listening. They're being very aggressive, and they're fighting for their continued spot in the camera industry. Okay, this will shoot 8K 60 RAW. I don't believe it shoots in anything but RAW, if I'm not mistaken. You also can get 4K 120 video recording. That's all pixel binning with the 4K 120. It's not oversampled from the 120. At least I'm almost 90% sure it's not. They may have 4K 60 HQ. I'm not sure. I can't remember. They're not saying anything about it from what I'm seeing here. But the 8K60, it's about as functional as I thought it would be. Well, that being said, with the battery that's small there is an issue with battery life with 8K60. I don't know how long you're really going to want to shoot 8K60 anyways, considering just, I mean, the amount of file size and all that stuff with 8K60 is kind of nuts. So maybe it's enough. It doesn't seem as egregious as like the Canon R5C, which is what I have, or my Canon camera. The 8K60 and that is pretty much not full. It's just not fully functional at all. Because of you have to basically hook up a V-mount battery in order to get enough out of it or have it plugged into the wall. 8K60 is not the biggest of deals, but I do like the 4K60 oversampled from 8K that is in the R5C. I wonder and think that it's here, but I'm not 100%. As far as other video features, which is great, I think it does have like some of the scopes and some of the different things. I believe the Nikon Z8 had that. Some of the different aspect ratios. One thing that's great about Nikon is they're not protecting any cinema line. Sony has a cinema line, Canon has a cinema line, and they somewhat nerf their cameras just a bit to try to like protect that. Nikon's not protecting anything in the cinema space that I'm aware of, and it looks like they're putting pretty much everything here. I think it's a great thing. I do wish they had a flip out screen. It would be better for like a content type creator like myself, but I'm not going to buy this camera anyways. I'm not in the Nikon system. But I think if you're a Nikon shooter, this might be the perfect camera for you. So internal 10-bit ProRes 422HQ and 12-bit RAW. Great stuff here. A blackout free viewfinder and 4-axis tilting monitor. The monitor is still a really good monitor. I do like the different functionalities that it does have, but I just wish it, was a little bit more. Maybe it had one more flip in it. That would be great. Dual memory card slots, dual USB-C ports. So the dual memory card slots is interesting. You have one CF Express Type B card. You have one SD card. That's one change from the Z9. I wouldn't say it's detrimental. I wouldn't say it's unexpected, but of course I would have liked to see two CF Express type cards, especially considering the speed difference and the pricing difference per gig is really very comparable. Of course, people like to have or already have a lot of SD cards, so there's that. But personally, I would have taken the future proofing of the camera and had both dual CF Express cards. That's what I would have preferred, at least, if in my perfect scenario. This does bring up another question of dual recording in video. I heard somebody say you cannot dual record video. It doesn't make sense to me. I think you should be able to, but I'm not sure. Maybe you can't in all the major frame rates. So like, I'm sure 8K60 you can. Maybe 8K30 you can't. So I don't know. It seems like you should be able to dual record at least some. Even if you're just kind of having somewhat of a proxy on your SD card, I would hope that you can, because it would be hard to recommend this as like a event videography camera if you can't dual record, because that's one of the things. If you're doing like weddings or I've done different live events like dance showcases and things like that. These people work really hard. Well, weddings, the women work really hard to get that ring. Anyways, these people set up, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity for people. Hopefully they're getting married once and they want these memories to share. If you lose that video, that is like, I can't imagine how terrible that is. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't do it, but I wouldn't do it. If you can't dual record these live moments, I personally wouldn't feel comfortable, even though that happened forever. But now with video being a thing, higher frame rates being a thing, the likelihood that a card will mess up on you is a higher a possibility as well. Dual USB-C ports. This is interesting. I think you can record, if I'm not mistaken, to an SD card or SD, like a external SD. So I believe you can. I'm not sure if you can also record to that. I don't think you can record to that and the memory card slot at the same time. I'm pretty sure you can't. But it's cool. Like I can see myself, I would use something like that. That's a slight difference. The Z9 had one USB-C port. Stacked sensor, we went over that. Compact, lightweight, not super lightweight, 30% smaller than the Nikon Z9, 15% smaller than the D850. It's small enough. It is huge with a battery grip. Some people might want the extra battery grip, but I like at least the option to be able to take off the battery grip, have a more compact camera. And yeah, so I think it works out. I think it's great. Like I said, if you're a Nikon shooter, this is good stuff. It's hard. I'm really just, I'm splitting hairs here. Oh, this is interesting. I did not think. So, So does this have a digital hot shoe? Because for some reason, somebody said it didn't have a digital hot shoe. But if it does, that's super cool. I mean, maybe it doesn't, but by this picture, it looks like it does. If it does, that's good. By that picture, it kind of doesn't. So I don't know. It's hard to see, hard to tell. So yeah, let me go back to the main screen here. So this thing is coming in at $4,000 for the price. I really don't see another camera that really truly competes with it in any major way. You got the Canon R5, which is still a great camera. It's around $3,400 most of the time now with the sales. You have the Sony A7 R5, which has a higher megapixel count with some pros for sure. You have their new AI video features as far as the autofocusing, so it's going to be a little bit better. But the Nikon Z9 is a faster sensor. It's basically the same thing as, it's going to have better video. It's the same thing as the Nikon Z9, which a lot of people paid $5,500 for. If you're a Nikon shooter, I think that Nikon is raising the game. I think they're really stepping up to the plate. I think you should be proud of your company. I think you're in a good company and a good system. I'm not saying it's necessarily something that I would switch to. But I do think it's something that if you're already in the Nikon system, or maybe you're a DSLR shooter and you want to make the switch over to mirrorless, I think finally you have an affordable pro body, even more affordable than the $5,500 thing. A very aggressive move, very great stuff. Glad for Nikon shooters. But drop in the comment section below and let me know, what are your thoughts on this camera? Are you as excited about it as a lot of other Nikon shooters? Are you with me on some of the things that you wish that they would have changed? Let me know all that in the comment section below. All right, let me go back to the comments. Maybe we're building up some. All right, so okay. Canon. Okay, it says, now you're talking Sony Xperia. Yeah, no, I just think it's a good camera overall. Xperia with a DJI combo. Yeah, that's okay. I think he's saying, now you're talking Sony Xperia. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is a good, really good camera for a cell phone. And Sony, it's weird because they had better hardware, but their software was super laggy as far as in comparison to like what Samsung, Pixel, and the iPhone were offering. So even though they had like better specs on paper and more professional specs, in practice, it didn't look as good, especially for ease of use scenarios. So this looks like they're kind of the best of both worlds here. I really am tempted by it. I will say it was literally just like, I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was just kind of like, man, I wish I could just have a phone right now. It sounds bad. Paris, he keeps telling me I'm skinny, and I very much appreciate it. At last, skinny. Proud of you, bro. I'm working on it. I still got a little bit of flab going, but I'm skinnier than I used to be. I look better in a shirt, at least, for sure. And I hope that I can keep up the trend when I head back to the United States, because the United States, portions are bigger, food's way more processed, a lot more temptations. I don't have a restaurant downstairs when I'm in America. And I do, literally, we're living in a restaurant here. So yeah. Hit this, man, I like. So he is encouraging people to hit the like button. I tend to agree with him. Hit that like button. Appreciate it. How many people we got live watching? It's not showing me. Let me see. Come on. It was showing me the live count. I'm not seeing the live count now for some reason. I don't know if I moved things around and the live count left. Stop strangling yourself. I hope I'm not strangling myself. What do you mean by strangling myself? Sorry, I feel like I'm a Jordan Peterson. What do you mean by strangling yourself? By strangling, do you mean taking air from your throat? Oh, I'm sorry. Anyways, that's a bad Jordan Peterson impression, but I just thought it was funny. Answer. Oh, because I'm doing this. Wow, that's a self-conscious thing. I didn't, or subconscious thing, and it's also a self-conscious thing. I'm protecting my vital organs. That is what they would say if you're like a body reader thing. So yeah, appreciate that. I will take that into consideration. I won't hide my right here, and I won't strangle myself. Yeah. Maybe it's my thinking thing. No, I think it was just me being a little bit nervous. Maybe that's there. I don't feel super nervous. I feel nervous right now because I cannot find the count, the viewer count. It was just here. Where's it at? Who's watching me? How many people? It's bad. I feel very... And honestly, it doesn't matter how many people are watching. I mean, I appreciate everybody who is watching. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't matter how many's watching. I would like to engage with people. So if you're here, engage. Let's start a bigger conversation going. Talk with me and Paris in the Philippines. He likes to talk cameras. He likes to talk smack. He's here to talk smack and talk cameras. Oh, we got 5 people watching. I appreciate it. I had no clue this was very... I mean, it was planned today, and so there was just no advanced thing. I have not done any kind of live stream in a long time. So yeah, I think I've went over some of the main topics. I guess I can go and touch on the Panasonic camera here. We can do that. Hopefully the comment section will build up. If you have any questions for me, drop in the comments and let me know. If you have anything to say at all, hit the like button if you're here and haven't. Get this out to more people if you could. Very much appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would very much appreciate a subscribe. It definitely helps out the channel. It definitely gives me motivation to continue the channel. Not that I'm not going to continue the channel either way, but you know, it would help. Maybe I could get like a sponsor every so often and make a little dime for this thing. But it's okay either way. I'm having fun and I'm trusting the process. But been doing this for a couple years now, and I would like to see some growth. I had a little bit of a slowdown. Now I'm building a travel channel as well at this point. So I was doing 2 videos a week on this channel, but it's just not practical to be able to do that and build a travel channel. But I do hope that by building a travel channel, I guess my main thoughts with building a travel channel, I'm not really pushing it out to a lot of the people in the camera channel because I don't want to just split audiences. I don't want to just say, hey, you know, because the travel channel is still figuring out what exactly it is. It may not be for the people here. They might not like it. Some of it's tips and advice for travel. Some of it's, a story-based travel. So there's, like I said, there's a vast group of videos that I'm making for it, vast categories. But one thing that I do think it is going to help with this channel is it's going to help keep my craft sharpened. It's going to give me even more experience to make me a lot better of hopefully a videographer and a photographer. So I can come back and speak with even more authority on doing these type of things. Because, you know, right now and maybe for the foreseeable future, maybe forever, but a lot of the people in the community know a lot more about cameras than I'll ever know. And I appreciate the community being gracious with me and watching the channel and engaging and helping this community that I believe that we're building here and that we've built. And I appreciate everybody. If I make a mistake, they're quickly here to let me know that I made a mistake. But most of the time, people do it very graciously and don't put me down. So I appreciate that. And I hope by making this travel channel, it will, make me sometimes, you know, I'm making like a talking head video. It's easy to start coasting, or at least get comfortable with the type of videos that I'm making, and not necessarily progress in my craft. So I'm hoping that the travel channel will keep me sharp, and maybe I'll have some more experience, maybe some more teachable stuff that I can come back and bring to this channel. All right, let me go to the comments. Is anybody else engaging? Shut up, shut up, shut up. I protect my balls. Canon's released this week. Shut up, shut up, shut up. All right. Well, I appreciate that. That's there. All right. I'm going to shut up then, I guess. But I do have one more main topic we'll go over. So this week, the Panasonic S5 Mark II X was released, and there's some interesting things about it, and we'll go over it right now. So right here, we are on B&H. This camera is very close. Here's some overview if you're not very familiar with the Panasonic S5 Mark II or S5 II. I'm not even sure if they have a mark in it. I think that this was a great release overall. It was in a great price range. It gave you some amazing features for what it had. 24.2 megapixel sensor, dual native ISO. It had some pretty great low light. The stabilization was about as good as it gets in a mirrorless camera. To me, it was a lot better especially for videographers. Way better than any other camera in its price range. I would pick that over the A7 IV. I would pick that over the Canon R6 Mark II. I would basically pick, if you're, looking for a system and you're more into video features, I think that this was probably the best of the bunch. I think there is a conversation to be had about whether or not the L mount is going to be super future-proofed, because right now Panasonic is in a very distant, fifth place? I'm not sure where they are in the sales, but that's a problem. But I hope that cameras like this will turn it around. And personally, I like what they're doing with the system. Okay, that being said, the S5 Mark II X, it came out. Essentially, it is the same camera as the S5 Mark II, but it has some additional video features. It's almost like basically a firmware. It could be in the S5 regular edition. But here are some of the differences. Okay, so this does shoot 4K 30 frames per second, 6K 30. I think that's downsampling from there, because it has like 4K 120, I thought. Maybe it's 4K 60, but I don't know. This is kind of weird. Love all the scopes that it has. So this right here, it says, as we mentioned earlier, the only difference, or only the S5 IIX is able to capture 5.8K ProRes to a external, or to an SSD. All the intra-compression and ProRes RAW to the Atmos recorder. The R5 Mark II can capture ProRes, but only after the $200 firmware. Considering that the S5X Mark, or 2X, sorry, just the S5 II, I'm going to say that, Extreme, is only $200 more than the S5 II, you might want to save yourself the hassle and get the S5 IIX right off the bat. Video connoisseurs will surely appreciate the S5 IIX higher maximum bitrate, USB tethering, and wired wireless IP streaming. The two cameras are identical in terms of photo functionality, but as additional video recording modes are important to you, the S5 IIX was well worth the wait. So I'm interested, if does this $200 firmware that goes into the S5 II, does that just add ProRes, or does it add all the features from the S5 IIX? From what they're saying here, I'm thinking that it doesn't add all the extra features that the S5 IIX does offer. So if that's the case, yeah, get the S5 IIX if you haven't got one of these cameras and you're more into video. I'm strangling myself again. That's what I would do if I was going to go with this particular camera. I will say though, if you're willing to spend extra money, apparently there at least was a rumor from the Ordinary Filmmaker. Some people believe him, some people don't. That's okay. But he said he has it from a good source that the Panasonic S1H Mark II should be getting announced fairly soon. And if that's the case, it'll be probably somewhere around $4,000, but it's going to be incredible, I believe. I would the first one was amazing. I would assume that the second one's going to be leaps and bounds above that, and it's going to have that new phase detect autofocus as well. So if you're somebody who's saying, hey, I'm wanting to get a new camera, and maybe you're okay with a heftier price range, I think it's going to be well worth the extra money for a lot of people. But if this gives you everything you want out of the camera, this is where your budget's at. I think it's a great camera overall. Good job, Panasonic. I hope that you continue to innovate. I hope that you stay in the camera industry, or at least in the mirrorless camera industry. Hope this L mount really starts working out for you. I think finally that you're in a phase detect autofocus. I think you're a very viable option for a lot of people now. I have said for a long time that if Panasonic, if you had went with phase detect autofocus a long time ago, back when you had the S1H Mark I, I think that we would have a very different camera landscape right now, because the S1H Mark I was leaps and bounds ahead of the competition at the time. And I really truly believe that you would have been right up there with the big dogs of Sony and Canon if that was the case, if you'd went with that from the very beginning. But you didn't, but you have now. So hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully some people start to come your way. I'm really hoping for you. I think the more competition that we get in the camera industry, the better. The more people are fighting for a dollar, the better, cameras that we'll get from every camera system. I think that's proven true with Nikon. I think it's proving true with Panasonic. So yeah, drop in the comment section below. Let me know, what do you think about this Panasonic S5 2X? Did you get the S5 II and you're kicking yourself right now? Is it not a big deal for you? Let me know about that firmware update scenario. Let me all know all that in the comment section below. All right, let's go back to the comments. We've hit all the main points. Okay. Shut up. You were highly technical. I'm thinking maybe you're referring to me maybe talking somewhat down on myself about my abilities with the cameras. That's okay. Yeah, I'm doing my best, and I appreciate that. If that is the compliment you're giving me, I'm trying to get even better. So hopefully I will be even more technically versed, as well as maybe more creatively versed. I would like to get a balance there. Says, let me pour a beer. Long night ahead. Yeah, go for it. Right now, yeah, it's 12:30 where I'm at. Where are you at now? Are you still in Dubai? I know you were in Dubai not too long ago. That's kind of where you were at. So I would assume it's nighttime for you as well, but I think earlier, if I'm not mistaken. Himalayan Readers says, soon Nikon will get to 100,000 sales of the 8. Yes, I don't know, but I think that they should. They should sell a lot of them. L Mount Alliance. I'm pretty sure that that's where we're going with the extra L's. Work on the premise on who makes the sensors. Work on the premise of who makes the sensors. So, are you talking about how Sony makes all the sensors? Yeah, they pretty much do. And the other camera manufacturers are using them better. I'm just messing with you. No, it's not that. I love my Sony A7S III. I love what Sony is doing with their sensors. And I love that they're marketing their sensors out there. That being said, they make a heck of a lot of money selling their sensors to not only camera manufacturers and to cell phones. So I think that they are more dedicated to the sensor area than they are necessarily to the camera manufacturing. Uh, it's the only compliment, Skinny. It's only a compliment, Skinny. Yeah, I appreciate the compliments. Um, so yeah, but no, Sony is a great sensor manufacturer. It's a great camera. I enjoy my Sonys. That being said, I do think they protect their cinema line and they're more invested in their FX line and now the newly ZV line. So I would like to see firmware updates to their alpha cameras because a lot of people paid a lot of money for them, and I think they deserve continued support. So that's what I'll say about that. Sony's great. Stop protecting your cinema cameras too much, but that's okay. I don't think Sony is losing sleep. They're gaining market share. So that's what's happening. If you're here and you're watching, I appreciate you. Hit that like button. Get this out to more people. Actually, that being said, I think, hey, if we have people, drop in your comments if you're here, if you're watching. But my voice is starting to go. It is 12:30 where I am at night, or super early morning. I don't know how you view that. It's dark outside and it's 12:30, so it's pretty late for me here in Asia. Let me know if this is a good time slot for a lot of people though. I'm kind of trying to figure out when to come and do these live streams. I was trying Friday. I did Saturday night for a while, and football, U.S. football, took over that time slot. Tried Monday night, but then Monday Night Football took over that time slot as well. And then Friday nights, I was doing that for a while, but then David Osler started back up, and I don't want to compete with that guy because he's Australian and amazing, and I like watching his show, so I'm not going to try to compete with his show. So yeah, I was trying to do the live stream here, so I'm trying to figure out what's a good day to do it. Pairs in the Philippines, Domination, Sensor Kings, and I love my FX3. Yeah, I think FX3 is great as well. It's a good camera. I wish I had it. I wish I would have picked it over the A7S III. But I guess here, and I've had so many rants about this, but people waited like 5 years for the Sony A7S III. Everybody knew that the A7S III, of course, it's a mirrorless. It's still a hybrid camera. Yeah, great. But it's a smaller megapixel sensor. Everybody knows that it's video-centric. It's always been the video-centric version of the Alpha line. People waited 5 years for it. They come out marketing it, swinging it like it's like the best video camera around. People, people flocked to that camera. They had waited 5 years. They bought a heck of a lot of them. And then 5 months later, you come out with the camera that the A7S III should have been. I wouldn't have been upset if they would have kept them in parity, which they did for like 2 years, and then they just started to diverge. Now the FX3 has gotten so many amazing features, and the A7S III has been completely left behind. I think that it's kind of slimy that Sony did that. I don't fault them for making a new camera. I don't fault them for having more of a cinema line. But I do fault them for marketing the A7S III the way they did and then kind of undercutting it because a lot of people who bought the A7S III would have went with the FX3. I should have. I actually had the option. I wanted the EVF. I like having an EVF, especially for bright days. Sony's not the best with their screens. That being said, at the time they were very parodied in their firmware. Both had S-Cinetone that came out right after. So it looked like they were going to stick together. They weren't. So if I knew what I knew now, back then I would have definitely went with the FX3. Should have done that, but I didn't. It's okay. Shut up. Man, Paris, how many beers have you already had, buddy? Yeah, the FX3 is a good camera. I appreciate you being here and showing support. I really do. If you're here, you watch this long, I appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out which I'm going to do. I have Panasonic or have Final Cut Pro. Thinking about going over to DaVinci. Everybody else is. I've kind of been dabbling with it, but I'm kind of one of those people that I feel like I just need to hop on in, like go almost full out if I'm going to make the switch and really learn it. I've just got proficient with Final Cut Pro, but I feel like there's so much more I can do. So, Paris said A7S III has a bright viewfinder. It really does. It's great, and I like it. I just, yeah, I like the new video. That's another thing. The video menu that was in the FX3 that came out. It's like the quick video menu. Super great. The LUT stuff that they were able to do. Even if you didn't give it the cine, whatever it's called, the cine mode or whatever, you just switch. I already switched. I just keep everything in base ISOs anyways when I'm shooting S-Log3. So I just switch over to 12,800 if I get up too high, and I just use the ND filters. I don't have problems with that. Noise is very minimal if you're sticking to the base ISOs. So if I'm moving it like past 1600, then I'm up to 12,800, and I just use ND filters. That's pretty much what I'm doing with that, and so it's great. I don't really need the cine quick mode and all that kind of stuff. I do like the LUTs that you can add to just monitor your camera better, and I do like that new menu. And what is interesting and what is annoying is the A7R5. So we thought that was going to be like a cinema thing, but the A7R5, which is very much a or photocentric camera, it came out with a new video menu. Why? And then also the ZV, whatever it's called, the ZV1 did all the stuff that the ZV1 did, and the A7S III is shit. Sorry, yeah, I like it, but it sucks that they're not updating it. Okay. Paris in the Philippines. Via FX3 has a fan, and I live in Dubai, but live in Dubai, but live in the Philippines. Yeah, so you go back and forth. Overheat is dominating factor. I have never had a problem with the Sony A7S III overheating, and I'm in Vietnam, so it's about as hot as you can get. I mean, obviously it's not the desert, but as far as the humidity with the heat, I mean, I'm basically right there with the Philippines. Maybe you had that issue. I don't know. I don't know if you ever had an A7S III, but I've never had any issues with overheating, and I've shot all day with it. So I've not had a problem yet. I have the Canon R5C. I honestly, at this point, I haven't gotten enough out of it that, but I love the camera. I think it's a beautiful camera. So I have both, but I probably should use it more. I'm using it a lot for stills, more. And if I need 8K or just, I want an extra crispy shot, I use it for a lot of like landscape type shots, for the travel channel. And I'm using, A7S III. If, it's a super high dynamic range, shot that I want to get, it's really my main go-to as far as my walk around camera, because it's much smaller, better in low light. So I use that primarily. And if I want to get very specific shots for higher resolution or, oversampled 4K, I go to the Canon R5C, and also for stills, but I haven't got enough out of it yet, but I wanted to keep my door. I like the camera. It looks pretty. Leave me alone. Anyways, Paris in the Philippines love the counter argument. Yeah, I mean, that is the counter argument. It's just never overheated for me. Hey, so yeah, I've been going for an hour and 8 minutes. My throat's pretty much gone. It's 12:40. Yeah, Paris the I pre-mitigated rather than take the risk. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously with all the firmware updates, it sounds like you picked right anyways. But yeah, I didn't. I took the risk, and it hasn't overheated, but I guess I made a bad decision with where Sony was going to invest their time. If you're here, you're watching after the fact, hit that like button, consider subscribing. Thanks everybody who showed up live. I love your FX3 as well. I wish I had it. But yeah, if you're here, hit that like button, do all that stuff. I'm going to go for the night. Thank you for showing up. I will try to continue to do more live streams. I hope everybody enjoys it. I'm going to break this thing up and post it throughout the week. So I hope it works out, because I enjoy live streams. I really do. Hit that like button. I think I've said that a lot. It's 12:40 at night. I'm tired. My throat's gone. Until next time. Can I finish this out coolly? Peace.